Welcome to Career Child Coffee Chat. I am your host today. My name is Erin Urban. Actually, I'm your host today and every day. Today is a great topic. We're going to be talking about how to thrive through this crazy holiday season. I don't know about you, but I feel like almost everybody I've talked to, with the wild exception, are feeling just a bit, what the heck? What the heck? We can't even get motivated to go to work hardly. And our priorities are shifting, and now we have the holidays. So we have work and life and our careers and everything going on, and the holidays on top of that. How can we manage all of this at once? So if this is something you're interested to hear more about, you're in the right place, my friends, because you might have more to do and less time to do it. But even if you love the holidays, you probably don't love this additional stress and the stress of juggling your career, a busy life, and everything you need to do for this wonderful time of year. Now, if you've never seen my smiling face before, my name is Coach E. Urban or Erin Urban. You can find out more about me at coacheurban.com. And please don't forget, the podcast is also available on all major channels, including my YouTube channel. You can find that at Coach E. Urban by searching that on YouTube. I'd love to have you tune in, and you can be the first one to get access to all of these live events and workshops coming up in 2023. Hint, hint, hint. So I am thrilled to have you join us today. So as you hop on, please don't be shy. Say hi, say where you're from, say your name. I want to welcome you to the show because this is for you, my friends. And I'd love to have you come on in and hear Ellen Leonard discuss easy strategies to bust the holiday blues and enjoy yourself. It's a great time of year. But even if you don't love the holidays and it's not really your cup of tea, we'll share how you can successfully manage the bustle of this particular time of year. Now, more about Ellen. She's a speaker, stress management consultant, and coach. And she's an expert who teaches coaches, business leaders, teams, and entire organizations about how to manage and prevent stress. She's a national board certified health and wellness coach. And her professional background includes 12 years as a published scientific researcher. Woohoo! Scientific research. I'm a nerd too. 9 years as an award winning university instructor, and 9 years leading the StressLess Method. StressLess. Say that 3 times fast. Join me in welcoming Ellen to the show. Ellen, it's great to have you.
Yay!
Jazz hands, jazz hands. Am I dating myself into it? Jazz hands, jazz hands. Do you think I know what that means anymore? I
I
don't
don't know. I feel like you might have just let people know about the 90s and you in the
know.
90s.
Yeah, that's right, because we're Gen Xers. Nobody talks about us.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we just slide on right by. Just
Right on the
keep
radar.
it cool. Just keep it cool.
Right. Well, let's talk about how to keep it cool this time of year. So before we started the show, I was chatting, confessing, true confessions of an overachiever. So we got Thanksgiving. We're just past the Thanksgiving holiday, and of course, I was going to do good this year. I only have a small family gathering. I invited one friend who was at cross purposes during the holidays, and she didn't have anywhere to go. So I said, "All right, yes, you do. You come over to my house." So 4 people, not a big deal, right? And then
4 people. For those following at home, the story is going to descend into madness soon. She has 4 people coming to her home. That's doable. Okay, continue, Erin. I just want to set people up because I don't want them to overlook the crazy that's about to happen.
Crazy that's about to happen. And to be honest, it wasn't.
Yes.
It really wasn't. I think and I know this as a coach, somebody who's a nerd who studies neuroscience, we tend to elevate the significance of things, which adds more stress than really necessary. I digress. Moving on. Yes, to the madness that's about to ensue is we were going to go to a friend's house that evening and have another Thanksgiving dinner because clearly one's not enough. We have to have two. So we're going to have 2 Thanksgiving dinners. And my friend calls me at, I'd say, midweek. Erin, the painters, this is the only time they can be here. And my house is under, and she even sent me pictures of her house, all the furniture in the middle of the room covered up in tarps and all the things. And I was like, wow. So what are we going to do? Can we have Thanksgiving at your house?
Now, everybody at home who is also laughing, we all know as a woman, as an entrepreneur, as an overachiever, what she's about to do. She is 100% about to say, yes, of course I can have it at my house. great. I mean, not that you don't love these people and you don't love taking care of your friends and hosting, and it's wonderful and it's a great time to spend with people, but
yeah. So tune in if you have struggled to say no during the holidays. We've been there. I do it. You do it too. You know who you are. Yes, we all do this. Why? Well, our judge, our inner critic, that lovely little voice in your head tells you, one, it lies to you and says, oh, yeah, sure, you can do it. And without thinking about healthy boundaries.
Well, because you probably can do it. Like every woman watching this call right now, like, or listening, can do it. Like we all have that in us, right? Every entrepreneur that's listening right now. Yeah, we can do it.
Yeah, we can.
And you did.
And I did. And it wasn't as bad as the other part of your brain that goes, oh my God, we have 2 loads of dishes to wash and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So you're all tensed up and your shoulders are trying to meet your ears. Yeah, it's great.
And I was laughing at you, but mostly I was laughing with you because I feel like this is so common. Because like we are kind and loving and we like to help people and support people, especially at the holidays, right? It's a time for us to shine and to be with the people that we love. And so you want to connect and you want to do all the things. Like you want to do so many of these things. Yeah.
Absolutely, we do. And we do this in our careers too, by the way.
Yeah, we do.
So for those of you tuning in live or watching the replay, we do this in our careers. We struggle to say no and put healthy boundaries around things. Now, to be fair, if my friend had, 15 people were coming over to our house, I'll say, no way, Jose, that's not happening. You cannot come over to my house because I can't fit 15 people in my house at the moment. It's not possible. That would have been easier. Oh, you know what? Probably here is not a great option. So let's go down the road to our other friend's house who already has 50 people coming over. So she won't notice if 6 more do. Yeah. Yeah. But I didn't say that. But it was fine. And what our brain does is it sabotages us quite often. Either it gives us, this, oh gosh, well, I need to do this because, I'm trying to be of service or what have you.
Yeah.
And that's healthy to a point.
Yeah.
But then it starts getting unhealthy sometimes. So tune in if you're live or if you're watching a replay, if this resonates with you and what you struggle with during the holidays, because we want to hear from you. Now, Ellen, I know that you have some stories too.
I do. And they all said so interesting that you brought up this idea, because I think one of the key components to your story that you just shared is this idea that when we say yes to too many things, we don't necessarily get to enjoy or have the energy for the things that we really want and value in the holidays, especially with people who have littles. Like if you have little ones, that time is so precious. You're only getting 1 year with them at this age. Your kids are going to continue to get older, much to your dismay or to your delight. If they're like 2, I feel like anybody who's got a 2-year-old right now is like, no. We need to go speed it up. Let's freeze them at like 8.
Why?
When they're still cute and adorable and want to cuddle with you. And they're not teenagers yet.
Oh.
Yeah. But, and I think that we're sold this idea about how we have to be, the shoulds, the have tos, so that we can have the perfect holiday, the perfect whatever that is to you and your family.
We should ourselves right out of our priorities.
Yeah.
And we know deep in our heart what we really like, to your point, what we really want to get out of the holidays. We know what that is. But then we should ourselves right on out to a point where we can't enjoy it. So a couple of years ago, before the pandemic, I entertained quite a bit and I loved it. And I also learned that there was like this sweet spot of number of people where I felt was manageable and I could actually enjoy myself. Because after that, it was just unmanageable. Couldn't enjoy myself. I couldn't even talk to anyone. I was just playing hostess, and that was it I was an elevated server, and I could not enjoy myself in my own home. So I would actually break up parties. Well, I want to have, I don't know, 40 people over. Okay, well, I would break it up into smaller groups.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had someone ask me, like, well, why wasn't I invited to the other one? I was like, well, you aren't friends with those people. It's not that you can't be there. It's just that that's more than I can manage in my house. Oh, okay. I understand.
And this story is so perfect for one of my strategies that I wanted to share. So thank you for sharing that. So you determined what allowed you to show up as the best version of yourself and still enjoy whatever it was, whatever situation it was. And you really kind of had a lot of awareness around what added stress in that situation. And in this case, it was like, oh, if I control the number of people in that interaction, then I actually really enjoy it. So that's one of my number one strategies for approaching the holidays, is to know what adds stress. Like really get specific on it. Because if I was to ask you in that story you just shared, you wouldn't say having my friends over stresses me out, right? Like that's not what you mean. You get specific. You're like, yeah, when I feel like I am basically just a host and not really getting to, and a server, and not really getting to interact with people, and not getting really to enjoy my friends that I've invited over to my home. That's when I start to really have some stress added. And then you solved it. You figured out what helps. So that's the number one strategy. So if you're listening at home, really try to zero in with specificity on what stresses you out, and then what helps to alleviate that.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
What is it that's going to help you? Whether, I mean, you might not be able to adjust it the same way Erin did. I mean, sometimes the answer might be, well, my in-laws stress me out. And what helps is to be away from them, which sometimes you don't have an option. I do have a client who hides in the bathroom from her in-laws. That's a way to escape them for a moment.
Wow.
She does some deep breathing and she comes back out, and suddenly they're tolerable for another half an hour,
minutes.
45 minutes. I don't know, 15 might be more realistic. Depends on the in-laws. I don't know.
Another tactic is to get someone who's a go-between. So if you do have someone that you have to have in your house and you do not want to interact with them, make sure, if you can, at all possible, get someone who's a buffer. You can act as a buffer between you and that person. Maybe that person doesn't irritate them as much. Maybe they're just someone who talks a lot and commandeers the conversation, so that person can't get in a word in edgewise. Whatever that looks like for you, think about what kind of buffer can you create between the parts that maybe not so fun, so you can have fun.
Yeah.
And then also create an escape for yourself.
Yeah. An escape route. Have a plan. Yeah. And so that's my number 2 thing is ideally, in addition to all the planning that we're already doing for the holidays, right? There's so much planning going on. Planning to make sure that you feel supported, that you're getting what you need out of the holidays. You are going to be able to make it through, and maybe even, I dare say, enjoy yourself. Like, have fun. I've seen it in movies. They're all over Netflix right now. All these people having fun at the holidays, falling in love, buying an inn and falling in love, going to Italy, falling in love. I mean, that's just what apparently happens at Christmas, according to Netflix. So maybe I shouldn't buy into that too much. Like, there's,
you never know.
You never know. But yeah, so having a plan. So I actually have a really detailed plan where I list out in my planner what I want and need for the holidays. And then I check in with it, whatever's on my list. And I have a list of no's that I will not share publicly, but I have a list because there's some people's names on that list. But I have a list of no's of things that I just won't do. And then so when I'm going into the holidays, I look at it so that I remember. I take notes from, like, last year I took notes.
That's a great idea. Yeah. I do that for my gardening. I take a gardening log because you're not going to remember
You knew you were
when the
not.
freeze happened the prior year exactly. And you're not going to remember perhaps that your tomato really croaked about whatever time, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing for the holidays. If you keep a diary, if you keep a journal, or just make notes in your calendar to pop up at a certain time. Okay, August, or October now. October. Oh, they are moving into August.
They are.
That's before. No kidding. Before Halloween, and Lowe's had Christmas trees up. I said that's wrong. But anyway, whatever. Yeah. So whatever time it needs to pop back up on your calendar, have that happen. Just a few notes, okay? Make sure you don't invite Bob or whatever, right? And keep that list. I really love the list, Ellen. That's fantastic.
It's very helpful, and it's
very helpful because right now we have decision fatigue. We do.
Yeah.
We all are experiencing disaster fatigue, whether you will admit it or not. It's okay. You're human. If you're feeling like, there's a reason. We're tired.
Yeah. We are. And just so everybody knows, not only is Erin seeing this with all of her clients right now, I am as well. All of my clients and friends, they're all exhausted.
Everybody.
They're exhausted. They're tired. And I think of it as the way I've started to discuss it with people is that it's almost like our capacity for everything is diminished a bit. And so anything extra is now a stressor or a thing that you have to deal with. And we just don't have the energy for it anymore. And I think that that's honestly the natural reaction as humans to what we're experiencing. So if you're feeling like that, I would just say you're pretty normal. Welcome to being totally normal.
Even, if you're berating yourself for not having that motivation, or maybe you're trying to ignore the fact that you don't have motivation, whatever it is, if you're avoiding it or berating yourself or not, or worried that might be something wrong with you, nothing's wrong with you. It's totally and completely normal from a neuroscience point of view for you to feel a bit meh right now, because change takes energy. And through the past couple of years, we have been through a massive amount of change. There's something called disaster fatigue. And after a while, it will catch up to us. In addition to that, more, particularly in America, I don't know about overseas, a little bit, depending on which country, but in America, we worked 30% more on average during 2020.
Yeah.
You can't sustain that forever.
It's not sustainable.
It's not. So all of that is going to catch up with us. Guess what? It did. It finally caught us. And we're tired. It's okay. It's not that, if you don't like the holidays, you don't like the holidays, and that's fine. But if you do like the holidays and you're worried what's wrong with you, then it's okay. You're normal.
Yeah. And thank you for saying that. And that leads me into a story I wanted to share about a client who was experiencing this. And she has always done this insane Thanksgiving. Like, it has courses. It is like gourmet. It is like, it's huge. There's like 20 people. It's really, and she's been doing this for like 20 years. It's intense. And we were talking over the summer because she was already starting to stress about it. And she was like, what am I going to do? I'm so tired. I have no idea how I'm going to do this. No, this is such a good story because her 15-year-old came to her in August and was like, Mom, I was wondering if I could talk to you about Thanksgiving. And she had been doing this for her family. And her daughter goes, do we have to do the big Thanksgiving this year? And her mom was like, wait, what? And the daughter was like, I'd really just rather spend time with you and Dad and her little brother. And this is coming from a teenager. This is a teenager rolling in with some like reality check.
Yeah. Good.
And being like, you're such a good cook and you always have so much fun doing it. But this year I was hoping we could do that. And she just bursts into tears, right? Just like full on started ugly crying in front of like, oh yes, let's do that. It's so good. She was just so much relief, just washed over her. And the questions that we decided on that she needed to start asking about the holidays are as follows. So these questions can really help you, and I use them with the clients regularly about the holidays and about other things, but these can really help you determine what you're saying yes to and what you're saying no to. They can make it easier.
Right.
Okay. So number one, what do I need?
Mm.
Right? Like checking in with what is it that I need? Like this 15-year-old was like, I need less.
Right. I think
Like
we all do.
I
Yeah.
need time with just you. I need quiet. I
Mhm.
need and she did request her favorite foods to still be cooked at some
Of
point,
course,
but
she's a teenager. Come on now.
yeah, I mean she's still a teenager. She's still like and she also needed online time for some
Well,
sort of game thing that I don't
yeah,
understand.
naturally.
Number two is, why am I doing this?
Mm.
And that one really hit home for my client because she thought she was doing this like 20 years ago when she started doing this, before her daughter was even born, right? She was doing it to have family over, to have friends over. She loved hosting, and it was so, and then it became something she did out of habit, out of
Mhm.
obligation.
Yep.
And when she started asking that question again, she didn't like the answer she was getting. She was like, I kind of don't know why I'm doing this. Number three, how does whatever it is make me feel? Now, so we all have that initial reaction of
Mhm.
like that, oh, Bob's coming to dinner, and you're like, like,
Yeah.
so
Oop. Oh.
checking in.
Yeah, check in. Yeah, and listen to your somatic response, how your body responds.
Yeah, how your body's
You know,
feeling.
what's going on? Because if you are thinking about doing something and your gut just twists into a knot, or your shoulders tense up, or you're just like, oh
Yeah.
no, or you feel a little sick to your
Mhm.
stomach, or what have you, that's your body telling you
Your
something.
body is saying no.
Your body's telling you no. Be a little
Your
curious about that. Oh, what's going on there, right?
your body is like, hold on.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like,
and so Erin, I love that as well, because that can, listening to your body can translate into all sorts of things about what you actually need, right? Like your body is saying yes to something, and your body very clearly says no to other things. It lets you know when it's exhausted, when it's hungry, when it's overwhelmed. Your body is definitely letting you know these things.
right. And a lot of times we ignore it. We're like, oh, we're kind of mean, honestly, to ourselves. We really are. We're not necessarily our own best friends. We're not, to be honest. Another tactic is, if you have the presence of mind, you have to make space. I encourage everybody to just pause before you tie yourself to something or agree to something. Oh, let me think about that. I'll get back to you. It's a great strategy.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, whether you're wildly extroverted or a deep introvert, let me think about that and get back to you is a fantastic response, because that allows you to ask these questions, and it allows you to think about, okay, how am I really feeling about this? Am I shooting myself? Does this meeting my priorities that I've established? What's really going on here? Because if we make it in the heat of the moment, you don't want to have that, oh gosh, now I have to do it. Or worse yet, find out a way to get out of something.
Yeah, I love that. And I have two more questions that you might consider asking yourself. Number 4 in our list of questions is, what would I actually enjoy? Like, what would I like to do? And I think that's a question that when we get into our 40s and 50s, we've kind of stopped asking, because at that point for the holidays, for so many of us, things just kind of happen, right? Like, this is the way it's always been, or this is the way we've always done it. And we never really stop to ask, well, do I even like this? Do I mean, I'm sure we all enjoy parts of some of the things, but just like the example with my client, like, yeah, all that daughter was looking, that 15-year-old, that teenager, all she wanted was some family time and to be quiet. Like that's what she'd enjoy. So
right. That's what you enjoy.
Yeah. And then the last question, this is a tough one for all the entrepreneurs. It's going to be a rough one. You ready? What do I actually have time for? So it has to be
Yeah,
based in
that's
reality.
really good. That's really actually have time for, not you think you're going to squeeze in or double book on top of each other or whatever, right? Yeah, when you actually have time to do. And I am a queen of overcommitting.
Yeah.
Really am.
Yeah. Because when we really look at how much time that we have for things, I'm
Hmm.
sure most of us would just start saying no right now to holiday activities, because the reality is especially as entrepreneurs, we're already overcommitted. We are already doing too many things, all the things. And then to add the holidays on top of that is just extremely stressful and many times unrealistic for how much
Yeah,
capacity we have, not only in the season we find ourselves in, but also just even from the before times. Like, did we really have the energy for that?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Hussein brings up a good question here. He said, um, do you see that generations from the 80s, 90s, and the current generation at every stage begin to abandon some of the customs and traditions that would preserve an integrated society, family, friends, etc., etc.? So it's interesting you mentioned that, because we are seeing customs shift and traditions
Yeah.
shift. Um, One of it is just because of the evolution around priorities and what
Yeah.
works for people. And I feel like those folks who are, I would say, millennial, identify with being a millennial or a Gen Z, they're a little bit better sometimes, depending on the person, at setting boundaries around their well being. I would have to say that the older generations don't necessarily set as many personal well-being boundaries. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they don't say, "Oh, well, I'm setting this boundary because of my personal well-being." That's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
the, we're not as inclined to put ourselves first.
But it's also now that people have the option to do that,
Yes,
whereas previous generations might not, I don't think, have had the option to say
right.
yes or no.
Yeah.
It was
Well, they
expected,
didn't
and
feel
that's what
like
you
they could.
did.
They didn't
Yeah,
feel like
feel
they
like they
could.
could.
Like
Yeah.
that. Well, that was an established tradition, and it was just
Yeah.
something that would happen.
But also, it's a time for establishing our own traditions,
Hmm. Hmm.
based in things that we want and value.
Right.
And how might that shift, and what might that become? And I think that that's an interesting, fun way to look at it. Is like my friend shifting from having the giant Thanksgiving gathering to
Hmm.
having this time with family and friends, because I did get to talk to this client and since the weekend, and it was magical. They
Wonderful.
had a wonderful Thanksgiving together. They got to spend really good quality family time together.
Mhm.
They each picked a movie for different nights. They had, she still cooked all their favorites. And so, like, one night was her daughter's night, and they had all her daughter's favorites, and she got to pick the movie. And then the next night with the husband, it was just, they just had such a
Fun.
wonderful time creating these
Mhm.
new traditions.
Mhm.
And her parents came over, but not on Thanksgiving Day. And they came over the
Right.
next
Spread it
day,
out a little bit. I'm
and they
seeing
got
more
to,
of that too. I'm seeing
yeah.
more people spreading it out a little bit, not trying to do it all at once, all try to do everything on one day. I mean, it
Yeah.
just it becomes unfun when you do that
Yeah.
sometimes. So, beyond, the entertaining and the
Mhm.
saying yes, and well, there's some other things that come up during the holidays as well, because we have our careers, we have our lives, that's already there. That's like,
Yeah.
going away. And then we have these holiday gatherings, parties, networking events, etc. People are like, well, what should I do? Make sure that I'm elevating my career, make sure that I'm moving up, make sure I'm making the right connections. Do I need to go to these? Well, yes and no. You know very well who is probably going to be a what. And if you don't want to go to
Yeah.
something and it doesn't seem strategically sound for you to put forth that energy to do it, then don't do it. Right.
Yeah.
If you have overlapping events, choose the one that will be most fruitful for you personally or for your career.
Yeah.
Put your energy towards that. I noticed that about 1,400 people have planned something on December 10th. I can only be one place. I have to pick. And one of those, unfortunately, has actually asked me to speak at the event. I was like, well, I'm already going to be committed somewhere, because I can only be one place. I'm happy to do something next year. So, you know, do what you can, and also try not to suffer from FOMO too much.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, some of my strategies as entrepreneurs, as business owners, to make it through the holidays, in addition to everything we've already talked about, some really basic stress management strategies. My top 3, these are my 3 go-to stress management strategies for literally everything. Number 1, sleep. Oh my gosh, people, we all need to be sleeping.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny how we seem to just sideline that. There's a couple fundamentals for living. One of them is eating, another's breathing.
Don't give away all my secrets, Erin. Erin, we have to come on, let me share some of my secrets. But sleep is number 1, right? Number 1, you will manage your stress like a rock star if you are sleeping regularly. And number 2, you already said, eating. You need to have a plan for food, especially if you're going to get busy. So in this house, we meal prep. I have specific days that I'm cooking things. And so last week when we had a bunch of projects going on right before the holidays, we were able to just pull a healthy meal out of the freezer that I'd made the week before, and we were fine. And it makes such a difference to keep everybody fed.
I wish I could do that.
I believe in you.
So what if
I believe in
you don't even have time to meal prep? Okay. There's these things and places that do it for you.
There are.
You can get HelloFresh. You can get there's like a dozen.
Ooh, have you tried the purple carrot yet?
Purple carrot, I've heard, is awesome. Yeah.
It's vegan, and I'm not vegan, but I learned how to cook so many different things from it. And their food, you get stuff in the mail from them and you're like, this does not look good. And then it's so good. It's so good. Sorry, I'm a little obsessed with
check them out, try them all.
Yeah.
And do it guilt-free.
Yeah.
My friends, because you're taking care of you, you're taking care of your family, you're taking care of yourself. The pace of life, for some reason, isn't slowing down necessarily. And I would also invite you to consider, are you attaching your energy to something that may not be serving you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What can you say no to that maybe it's kind of always been in your life, but maybe it needs to evolve out of your life?
Yeah.
In order for you to have room for other things. Because if we're not shifting and changing and honoring our priorities and what we want to achieve in our life, then we'll always stay stuck and stagnant. So in order to move towards what you want, what can you let go of that's holding you back?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And then one of my favorite strategies, and this is my third one, was exercise. I'm sure everybody knows that that's an amazing stress management strategy. But one of my favorite go-tos for the holidays for managing stress is to help, support, give to others. Mm-hmm. Because whenever we take ourselves outside of ourselves and we give that help, that support, that compassion, that love to somebody else, even if it's just somebody in your house, that is a huge stress management tool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And another one I'd love to give to people is just taking a moment to breathe. Mm-hmm. And I think we undervalue that because it's so commonly spoken now. They're like, oh yeah, a moment to breathe. I get it. Yeah. No, I don't think you really do. Yeah. Most people I know haven't really gotten what it means. So a moment to breathe is literally not doing anything else, not looking at your phone, not looking, scrolling through cute cat pictures, not, none of that. It's just literally sitting down, unplugging your brain, focusing on your breathing, not necessarily to control it or do anything with it, but that is the only thing your mind is focused on. Now, why do you want to do that? Okay, so here's what happens. It's really, really cool. One, your brain starts lighting up on the creative side of your brain versus the negative side, and you start to reduce the agitated brainwave. So you come out of your high beta into more of closer to an alpha state where you can have less cortisol. You also have a clearer mind. You can think better. You can access your emotional intelligence better. So you actually get smarter.
True story.
True story. It happens. And your brain starts to produce other types of hormones instead of that stress-inducing hormone. So it will help you feel better. And just by doing that a couple times a day, it takes a couple minutes at most. Everybody has a couple minutes. You have 2 or 3 minutes, even if your saboteurs in your mind tell you, "Oh, no, you don't. You're so busy." No, you do. You have 3 minutes. Everybody does. Just do it, and you will feel immensely better. It's amazing, and it's a massive tool towards reducing stress and clearing the mind and being able to focus on what matters, because your brain, your inner critic, your judge, or whatever you want to call it, tells you have to do everything right now, and you don't.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things about breath work is that it brings you into your body. And in one of the meditation courses I took, they talked about how that is a way, your body's always in the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a way to drop yourself immediately into the present moment,
Yes.
to get out of the past, to get out of the future, and to just be here now,
Mm-hmm.
is to be in your body through breath. It's such a good
That's
tool.
right. It's a very calming and cleansing tool, and you have it. It doesn't cost anything.
It's free.
It's free.
And you're already doing it right now. You're so good at it.
Right. You're already good at it. All you have to do is just focus on it and nothing
You're
else.
so good at it already.
So leverage the tools at your disposal. I mean, they're right there. We're so busy what nexting, we're so busy planning, we're so busy with everything that we don't take the time to just do it.
Yeah.
And I coach, wildly busy people, high-powered executives, and they look at me like, "Oh, but it's 2 minutes. Do it. Set it on your calendar. Seriously."
And then what do they say after they do it? It's like, they're like, "Where has this been? I can't believe it."
I feel so much better. And if they don't have a coach in about 2 or 3 weeks, "Well, I didn't do it so well this day." Was it working for you when you did it? Yes, it was great. Okay. So stick with it, people. Make it a habit. It's a game changer. Really, it is. So what else can we talk about to help people thrive during the holidays and actually enjoy themselves versus not?
I think there is this thing called fun that adults have kind of forgotten about.
You mean adulting is overrated?
And I think you know this as well. There's so much science behind play itself, play as adults, where the basis of it is you are doing an activity for no other reason than fun. So kids are a great way to do this, right? Because kids are already doing this. So if you have kids,
get away with it, because you're playing with kids. Right?
Yeah, you have an easy out. If you have kids at home, conveniently located in your house, your own children, you can just go and play with them. They are already doing this all the time. They are very good. They're experts at this.
Let them teach you.
Yes, let them teach you. And bonus, you get to spend time with your kids who you probably like sometimes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pets are also a great way into this, right? Mm-hmm. Pets are very good at having fun. I mean, maybe not like a goldfish, but like a dog or a cat kind of pet. If you like they're good at having fun, especially dogs. They're really good at having fun. Cats too, I guess. But
yeah, cats okay, but yeah, they're too self-centered.
They are a little.
They're a little bit.
But that's also a great example. They prioritize self-care. They're very good at doing what they need.
They need to do, regardless of what you want them to do. Yeah.
Regardless of social pressures, they don't cave. If they're not supposed to be on the table, they're on the table anyway.
They don't care.
They just don't care.
They just don't care. No, they don't give a rip. You know what did come to me, though? I want to make sure that I mentioned this because some people are like, "Well, that's great. These tools are great. But what do I say?" When I want to say, I need to push back when I'm creating a boundary. Well, being open and honest is usually the best policy in most cases. But chances are you know your friends and family pretty well, and you know what their hot buttons are, and you know how to, massage the grease the skids, if you will. So use your best judgment. But I believe that just being open and transparent and saying, well, in my case, hey, I would love to have you over with that party too. I just know that that's more than I can feasibly manage at one time. So I needed to make the best choice that ensured that my guests would enjoy themselves and I would be able to be a good host and be present and be able to show up for you. What's wrong with that? Right?
Yeah.
That's honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I also have clients when they who have to say no to family commitments to stay with their main family, their central family, like just them and their kids. What is that called? The nuclear family? I don't know what that's called. Anyway, just and what they've started saying, and we've talked through how to have these conversations, is, well, we just want to spend time with just us this time. The kids have really been wanting some quiet time alone at home with us, and they just explain it that way. And people are remarkably understanding about that. They get that perspective. Like, oh, we're just so tired this year. We've just decided we want to stay in. And just being honest about, exactly what you said, just being transparent, and you can rehearse and write these things out. I've clients who find that very helpful. Like when I work with clients, we will actually practice. I'm really good at role playing. I can play your mean mother-in-law. I can do that. I can say really catty things about your cooking. I can do that. So
you never make my son English pudding.
You'll never make my son
my
happy.
in-laws are fantastic. They're wonderful. They're two very cute English elderly folks, and they're sweet and wonderful. And you should have seen my father-in-law's face. My cooking's quite different. And to see him, he ate it though. He didn't complain. I mean, he's fantastic. But it was entertaining.
See, and you get to create special family moments like that one.
That's right. And so you have good stories later. See? Remember that time? Yeah. Well, what else can we share with folks before we wrap up our show today?
I think it just comes back to this idea of, what is it that you want to prioritize? What is it that's really important and valuable to you? And then to see what else you can just let go of. And that's okay. You can't make everybody happy.
Right. You can't make everybody happy. And if you're struggling with this, and you're not sure what your priorities are, then ask yourself, take yourself outside of yourself. What would my best friend say to me if I was asking them? Like, what would they say? Sometimes that helps. Or you can put yourself in the future. Say, okay, looking back, what do I want to experience? How do I want to feel? And then what actions promote that feeling or absence of actions? We don't always have to be doing something.
No, sometimes a nap is what you need.
Which is it's a hard one for me. I have to look up couch potato in the dictionary. I don't know.
And then let me guess, you got on the couch and you were like, wait, what do I do now?
Exactly. I'm like, okay, shouldn't I have a book or something? Shouldn't I be learning something? My mother's like, because all my books are not what my mother reads. So she's like, why don't you read a book for fun? I was like, well, this is fun for me. I like learning. Sorry.
It's okay. Sorry. It's okay to be a nerd. Nerds just, we have fun differently.
That's right. Yeah, do something for you this holidays. And, when we think about everything we've chatted about today, I have to say that taking a little bit of this into our lives in general and into our career space and our professional realms is also not a bad idea. Knowing what our priorities are, knowing what, understanding what we can let go of so we can show up 100%. Because if you're not showing up 100%, you're not going to probably get the results you want.
Yeah. And as you spoke earlier about where are you going to focus your energy? You only have X amount of energy. And so don't waste it on the things that are less valuable to you. That energy needs to be saved for in your career, the things that are going to get you the most bang for your buck, that are going to be most productive, that lead to,
Absolutely. Well, Ellen, it's been such a great pleasure having you on the show again. I think this is a timely topic, and hopefully all of you watching now and watching the replay later or listening to the podcast also enjoys everything we've chatted about today. If you want to reach out to Ellen or myself, you can find us, of course, on LinkedIn. That's where we are primarily. But you can also find out more information on my YouTube channel at Coach E Urban. You can find out that. And reach out to Ellen. She's fantastic. She has a StressLess Method That's super exciting and very helpful for anybody who identifies with being maybe just a little bit of an overachiever and feeling perhaps a bit anxious. I know that we all have that. We'll pile more on ourselves and do it to ourselves, and then we're anxious and like, but I did this to me. That's right. And you have much more impact than you realize, my friends. So,
You
Ellen,
do.
thank you again. It's great to
Thank
see you.
you. It was lovely to
And
see you too.
all of you tune either now or later. Keep elevating, my friends. Bye for now.